Hello.
Hello, Miss Miller. We spoke on the phone last week. I'm Tiffany Sanders. I'm a counselor here with ABC Counseling. Did you find our office okay?
Oh, yeah, I didn't have any trouble. I just came right to it.
Okay. Do you prefer to be called Marcy or Miss Miller?
Well, actually, I go by my middle name. It's Nicole, if you don't mind.
Okay. Before we get started, I need to go over a few things with you.
Okay.
The first thing that I want you to know is that our sessions are confidential.
Okay.
I will not discuss anything that we discuss here with anyone except for a few circumstances. One exception might be if I thought that you were in danger of harming yourself or someone else. I would have a legal obligation to take action.
Mm-hmm.
The other exception would be if I thought that you were abusing a child or a vulnerable adult.
Okay.
I would also have a duty to report those concerns. The other exception to the confidentiality rule would be that I might have to discuss your case with my supervisor,
Mm-hmm.
just for the purposes of consultation.
Mm-hmm.
But my supervisor is bound by the same privacy rules as I am. Do you understand the confidentiality rules as I've explained them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the first session and what it's going to entail.
Okay.
Have you ever been in counseling or therapy before?
No, I've never been to a therapist before, and I'm actually a little nervous about this because I'm just not quite sure what to expect.
Okay, that's fine. Don't be nervous. A lot of people don't know what to expect the first time they come to see a therapist. For the first session, we're going to chat a little bit and get to know each other.
Okay.
I just want to get an idea about what brings you here today and get some of your history.
Okay.
I would just encourage you to be open and honest. I want you to feel like you can speak freely to me.
Mm-hmm.
So are you ready to get started?
Sure.
Okay. So tell me what prompted you to come to counseling today?
Well, I guess the simple answer to that question is that I am concerned about my drinking.
Okay.
In the last few months, my drinking has increased and it has started to affect my work. And I think that has been a little bit of a wake-up call for me. I've been missing more work. I've been calling in more frequently, and lately I've gotten in a little bit of hot water at work with my boss because of some absences. And like I said, that's sort of been a wake-up call for me because that's not who I am. My job is important to me. I'm very focused on my career, and it's kind of prompted me to take action to try to figure out what's going on with me.
Okay. What type of job do you have?
I'm an accountant. I work for a regional company here in the area, and I've been at this company for about 5 years, and I really like my job. I like the people that I work with, and it's a good job, and I guess, I don't want to blow it.
Okay. Okay. Are you using any other, like, recreation drugs or
Oh, no, like marijuana
prescription?
or something?
Marijuana or any kind of prescription?
Now I do
medication?
I do have a regular prescription that I take for acid reflux. It's sort of like for indigestion and upset stomach, and I take a multivitamin every day, but other than that, I'm not on any prescription medication, and no, I don't use any recreational drugs. Really, it's just the alcohol.
Okay. Okay. How much alcohol do you drink?
Well, it varies depending on the situation. If I'm with people that are drinking socially, I kind of drink however they drink. It may be a few cocktails or a couple of shots of tequila, depending on who I'm drinking with. Or some nights it might be a light night, maybe a couple of glasses of wine with dinner or something like that. So the amount varies a little bit, but at this point I'm drinking every night, so that's a bit of a concern because it hasn't always been that way. So it kind of varies as far as the amount.
Okay. Would you say that the frequency is increasing?
Yes, definitely. Because I've always been, sort of a casual social drinker.
Okay.
But it was mostly, on the weekends or at a party or, just in a social setting, some kind of celebration after work or something like that. It wasn't ever, an everyday thing. But I've found that maybe over the course of the last 6 months or so, it has progressed to the point where now it's an everyday thing. I drink a little something every day.
Okay. So the frequency has been slowly increasing over the last 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
The amount that you are drinking, is that increasing as well?
I wouldn't say so much that the amount has increased because, well, I mean, really, I still have to function.
Yeah.
I have to go to work every day. I have family engagements, social commitments. I have commitments with my husband, and there's a lot of things going on all the time. So I have to be able to function and to do all the things that I need to do. So I'm not. Even though I'm drinking every day, I'm not drinking till I black out. I'm not drinking till I pass out. I'm not falling down drunk.
Okay.
That's not to say that I don't ever get drunk. I mean, occasionally, like if it's a weekend or if I know I don't have to get up early the next day, or say for example, I know nobody's going to need me to do anything the next day, I might get tipsy or I might even get a little bit drunk, but that's not necessarily the norm. Usually it's more like a couple of cocktails here, a few drinks there, that sort of thing. So the amount hasn't necessarily increased, but the frequency definitely has.
Okay. So it sounds like you, until like the last 6 months, you were primarily a social drinker.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, do most of your friends drink?
Well, we socialize with a lot of people who do drink. My husband and I have a lot of friends who drink, and I have family members who drink, but it's all very social and casual. By no means would I say that, there are a bunch of alcoholics that we're hanging around with or anything like that. But yeah, we socialize with a lot of people who drink socially.
Okay. Any of the people that you are drinking with, either friends or family or your husband, have they addressed any kind of concerns that you are changing or acting differently?
Oh, well, as far as friends and family, no, nobody's really said anything. Usually when I'm spending time with them and I'm drinking, it's kind of a social thing, and I'm not the only one drinking usually. There's other people, and we're all just kind of having a good time. I think alcohol sort of tends to intensify that fun social effect. So nobody's really said anything negative or otherwise. But, now that you mention it, my husband, the last month or so, he has started to make little kind of offhand remarks about my drinking. And it's not typical for him. It's sort of out of character because he's never really said anything about my drinking in the past. But just in the last month or two, he's started to kind of say things to the effect of, well, you're being a real bummer tonight, or wow, you're really being a downer. And that's kind of, stuck in my mind because I sort of have started to think, well, has something changed? Why does he suddenly feel a need to make these comments?
Okay. Whenever your husband makes the comments like you're a downer, how does that make you feel?
Well, initially it makes me feel mad because, he's making a negative comment about me. So, immediately I feel defensive. He's my husband. I guess he knows how to kind of push my buttons and tick me off. It's, kind of like if I burn dinner and he says, oh, hey, you burned dinner tonight, it's going to tick me off a little bit. But I guess if I kind of look beyond that initial anger that I feel, I think I feel embarrassment because, when he says those things, and maybe it shouldn't be this way because, he's my husband and maybe we should be able to say anything to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But when he makes these little comments about my drinking, I feel embarrassed.
Mm. Are you and your husband discussing the drinking at all? Is there any kind of conversations that have
No, we haven't really had a conversation about it. It's just not something that we've discussed. And, I don't know if these little comments and remarks, maybe these are his way of trying to start a conversation, but that's not a conversation that I have felt like I want to have with him. So we haven't. We have
Okay.
not had that discussion.
Have you tried to stop drinking?
Yes, I have. And that is another thing that brings me here today. Aside from, being concerned about my job, I have tried to quit drinking on my own probably 2 or 3 times recently, and I have not been able to do it. I haven't been successful. Most recently, I think the longest that I went without drinking was 5 days, and at the end of the 5 days, I had a drink.
Okay.
So I couldn't do it.
Okay. So you were successful for 5 days, and then on the 5th day you had a drink.
Mm-hmm.
What happened on the 5th day that made you want to take a drink?
Well, if I remember correctly, it was a really tough day at work that particular day. It was just crazy. There were a million things going on. We had some tough deadlines we were working up against, and by the time I got home from work that day, I was just frazzled, just totally frazzled from work, and I drank. I had a drink.
Okay. Sounds like you might be using alcohol to cope with stress.
Well, I mean, maybe that's possible because, in the past, alcohol has been a good way for me to unwind and relax at the end of a tough day.
Okay.
It's kind of like if I have a hard day at work, I go home and toss back a stiff drink and then kind of, forget about the problems of the day. So I don't know, that may be.
Okay. Have you considered a program, like a 12-step program, like Alcohol Anonymous?
Actually, I have thought about that. I thought about that option, before I decided to come here. But for me, just thinking about it, it just didn't seem like a good fit for me. It's a small community, and I'm afraid that, people at work might find out.
Mm-hmm.
In a group setting like that, I'm a little more worried about confidentiality. And I don't want to embarrass my husband or my family, and I certainly don't want to embarrass myself at work by having people know that I have a drinking problem. So that's not something that I'm really interested in doing right now.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. If you do change your mind, I can give you some pamphlets and some information about some local programs that we have here. And it is confidential.
Well, I know, anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous,
Right,
it's
but
supposed to be.
If that's not a route that you want to go, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, well, I'll keep it in mind,
Okay,
definitely.
okay. Well, Nicole, I think we've covered some good ground today.
Yeah, me too.
You've given me a lot of good information, and I really appreciate you being so open.
Yeah.
I think that this is a problem that we can definitely work on together.
Me too.
Okay. I'd like to see you once a week if that works with your schedule.
Yeah, I think that's manageable.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll set up an
absolutely.
appointment then. Just on your way out, stop at the reception desk and make an appointment for 1 week.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
You too.